Hello, everyone. Mike will be here very shortly, having some traffic troubles. I am waiting to sleep in my bed. Welcome to Podcraft episode 4. Today we're talking about movies, our favorite movies, but also recently on the interwebs, the discussion of the perfect movie has been going around. So I thought maybe it would be fun to see what other people thought. So here we go. Leave your comments if you're watching this in post of what your favorite movie is or your ideal idea of the perfect movie, and I will make sure to comment on that if I've seen it or not. Maybe I'll see it because you said I should. Alright, let's see what people have said. It was mainly Twitter had it going. So let's see what they've got. I will search Twitter for a few things. Oh, good. It stopped raining. So I had a creeper creeping around me house. I bet he's still here somewhere. There he is. Sheep. That's for the horses. You are not a horse. Sheep, horse, stay away. Oh, great. There's a llama in my unfinished tractor. Should probably finish that tractor. Oh! Oh boy. That almost blew my house up. That would have been awkward. Alright, come here, yeah. There it goes. That hurt just a little bit. There's a big hole next to my house now. Great. Everyone's saying Shawshank Redemption. I see that on so many people's lists. Alright. So, according to the internet, let's see. There's a list that they compiled from like this trending tab. Let's see what it says. The Shawshank Redemption. I honestly don't think I've ever seen that. Oh, Morgan Freeman? I've heard of it. 1994 American drama film written and directed. I knew it was on Stephen King novella. Anyway, skip ahead a little bit if you're watching this unedited, which you most likely are. Or just watch me play for a little bit quietly as I watch skeletons burn off in the distance. And let me do this. Okay, I'm in a party. Sounds great. Today I'm going to finish my house thing. I have not put a lot of work into it. Skeleton gave me a bow with one shot. Oh, you know what? I left my window open. One sec. There we go. Oh, that's better. let's see. What do I need? I should build an axe. I'm so used to facing this way. It's weird when I play on this monitor. Hello, sheep. What am I looking for? Stone. It's a good starting point. Sticks. I don't have sticks. Oh, but I can make sticks. But I cannot make an axe without one more stone. All right. Stone axe. I'll make 3 of them, just in case. Nothing going on up there. Sounds like water's running. One sec. The heck's going? Well, it wasn't wrong. My toilet tank was running. That's awkward. Construct 1 type of each tool. Achievement get. Oh, bedtime. Gonna go to sleep this time. Oh. Getting a party invite. Accept that. Oh, that's not good. That's in the wrong place. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It just opened chat in a weird place.
How's your day been? How was your quarantine week?
It was interesting. Didn't really do much. I wanted to work more on my yard, but that didn't really happen.
No.
No. Here, one sec. I need to get out of the game though. I might re-invite you to chat. Hold on.
Okay.
Don't like that there's an Xbox chat and another chat. It's very dumb. Invite to party. There we go. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm asleep before he hops in. Oh, that's better.
Oh, good.
So on PC, when someone sends you an invite, it's really weird. But when someone sends you an invite, you get pulled in through the Xbox Game Bar app, not through the Xbox Console Companion. So it has like 2 different places for Xbox chat, and the Console Companion is so much better to manage. I don't know why it does that, but it's really weird. Oh, you got in right before I went to sleep. All right. So we've started. We I don't know if you heard, it's actually ironic. I was looking at this movie stuff, right? And I guess there's a thing trending on Twitter this week called hashtag 5perfectmovies. I don't know. I didn't know about it until I saw an article today that people were basically posting their top 5 favorite films, or not favorite films, but perfect films, like movies that are, in their opinion, a must
Perfect.
see and without flaw. Yeah, which I don't know if
That's
there's
difficult.
right. Well, okay, do you
Like
want to know
I
what like the number one everyone like put on their list was The Shawshank Redemption, which I have
I
not
could see
seen.
that. Shawshank is considered one of the best films ever made.
Yeah, I've heard that and I know of it, right? But I've actually never seen it, so I can't say yay or nay.
Dude, you should see Shawshank. Shawshank is way good.
Yeah.
I really liked Shawshank as a film sparked so much discussion over um, the U.S. incarceration system.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Probably not something I should
It's
watch with my wife,
based on a
though.
true story. I mean, it's based on a man's account.
Right. And it's a novella by Stephen King.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was one of the number ones, or one of the top ones that people were voting on. There's a lot that I've never seen or heard of.
Mm.
Let's see.
Yeah, Shawshank is way good.
Forrest Gump is on a lot of people's lists.
I'm not sure if Forrest Gump I would consider to be without flaw.
I don't think I would either.
Like, is it a good film? Yeah, I would say it's a good film, but like,
It's up there
not
in like
discussing the
a
giant plot
memorable
hole of
film.
Jenny's manipulation of Forrest.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of issues with Forrest Gump that I think a lot of Forrest Gump fans refuse to see those flaws because
Mm.
it's a decent movie, right? So
It's good. Is it well made? Yes. Is it a very good film? Yes. Is it a perfect film?
yeah, was there like no questions at the end? No, there were lots
Well,
of
and that's one of those
questions.
things is where it's like I think that's difficult because I drawing the line of saying name perfect movies. That's a very short list.
Right, like another one that's on there is Pulp Fiction, which I have seen Pulp Fiction.
Boy, and that one's hard because it's like all the mistakes Tarantino because of the way Tarantino makes his film, he can just say that was intentional, and then
Yeah,
like,
that's a
okay,
good
cool,
point.
it's intentional because Tarantino makes such stylized films anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. You could easily put that in. A lot of people have The Dark Knight on there, and I know the only reason why The Dark Knight is on there is because of Heath Ledger. Like, it's the only reason people would actually put Dark Knight on there. I mean, it's a really good Batman movie, but
Nolan did a great job with it.
yeah, I think the Christopher Nolan Batmans are the better of the Batmans, but that one in
I am
particular
interested
from his
as
trilogy definitely.
I think it's the best of the trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, and the reason, here's the thing is, I really liked the third one, but it's one of those things where it's one of those problems where it's like, how do you follow up the insanity
Yeah,
of the Dark Knight?
that is very true. Which again goes to Heath Ledger and his role as the Joker.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the weight of that movie and how much people have idolized it comes from what it did to Heath Ledger.
Well, and here's the other, like, and here's, to go alongside that is that would everybody love it as much if Heath Ledger had not died?
No, I don't think they would. Honestly. And that's sad.
Where are you at, by the way?
I'm by my house. I'm taking down some trees so I can finish my ceiling.
Your little hut on the hill?
Yep.
Like we have a little hovel in the mountain. We have your little hut on the hill. And then we have this massive mega barn.
Plantation.
And Chelsea's...
little cottage thing that makes all of our houses look shameful.
Well, so she's been looking up ideas on like Pinterest and stuff. Like some really cool ideas. So this is like her modest little... This was a small project to work on... just to work on like detail work, using different mediums, stuff like that. So
that's cool. No, it's well done. I think our house is very well done. So, Silence of the Lambs is obviously on people's list, and The Godfather.
Silence of the Lambs is excellent. That Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love Anthony Hopkins.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. He does a wonderful job.
Do you know that he reads a script when he acts in a film? He reads the script 100 times through before he will set foot on a set.
That's awesome. I'm sure that every director that has him in a film is grateful for that.
I mean, that's why he's so amazing, is that he puts so much time and effort into his craft. Have you seen Westworld?
No, I have not seen Westworld.
Westworld is so good. I absolutely love Westworld. And part of that is Anthony Hopkins. He does such an incredible job with his character, and the cast is amazing as a whole. All of them are fantastic, but Anthony Hopkins, and somebody actually, I got to watch a video essay covering his portrayal, like his character portrayal in it, and like a breakdown of why he is so incredible.
Yeah, like that role that he played in that film is like one, like a huge symbol of pop culture, but just idolized everywhere. Like,
you're talking about
I mean, I've been thinking of Hannibal Lecter. Is that
you're thinking of Hannibal Lecter. Yep, same guy.
Yeah, okay, I thought that was that movie, but that's plenty of wood. 12 Angry Men is on the list, and honestly, I think that, 1957 when it came out, but honestly, I don't know if you've seen 12 Angry Men. It's kind of a snooze fest.
I think a lot of that can also depend on...
It depends on your preference of film, I guess, but like...
I saw a Russian version of it.
Oh, okay.
And it's literally just a Russian recreation of 12 Angry Men.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it. I think that especially for its time, it is such an important film because of the amount of judgment and fear that was in society when it first came out.
Relevance brings it then.
Yeah, I think, some of its relevance, but also I do think that it has a purpose for people growing up. I do think that there's, everyone goes through a phase in their life where 12 Angry Men, serves a huge, can teach so many deep and important lessons. And honestly, I think that there's a lot of those films where, like, modern, like, honestly, instead of having kids read The Crucible, I would say teachers... Like, I understand why it's classic literature, and I understand its purpose.
Yeah, but
I think that the lessons that you're trying to teach kids with The Crucible can be easily taught with a more modern approach, like 12 Angry Men. Everything you want to teach in the Crucible can be taught with 12 Angry Men.
I never thought about that. I do remember hating the Crucible. I mean, like, you know, what was it, junior or sophomore in high school? Whenever they make you read it, like.
It depends on it. You know, it depends on the school system.
Yeah, but either way,
I
it's
think
one
for
of
us it
those
was
things you have to read it, and
junior
it's
year.
homework, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that anyway. That plays a factor in how much you like something, I think.
And that's also fair. But yeah, I would argue that I do think that you can use 12 Angry Men to greater effect when trying to teach certain concepts to a modern youth. And that's not saying, you know, in no way am I, you know, like, I guess a counter argument to that is, well, you need to understand the classics, and this is a classic.
But then
I mean, yeah, you're
that brings the
absolutely
debate
right.
of, do you
This is
need to
terrifying.
understand? Do you need to understand certain classics, or are they only still in the curriculum because, like, they've always been a part of it? You know what I mean? At one point, does our education system not question it just
Update
because?
itself?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like,
And, no,
oh,
and I
well,
think
we've got teachers that have been teaching Lord of the Flies for 20 years. We can't just say we're not teaching Lord of the Flies anymore. Here's a new book you have to teach. You know what I mean?
well, right. And I think part of that is the act of tradition,
Yeah.
right? Who taught those educators? Well, probably somebody who absolutely loved those books.
Right.
And they taught people to love those books.
Are you nowhere near your bed?
I'm coming.
Okay. I'll lay down.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm in a.
but yeah, so there's some of that in there as well. There's some older films that would be on people's lists just because they hold that significance, I think.
And that's fair. So right, like
you
12
kind of
Angry Men,
overlook those imperfections or the fact that it may not be interesting for everyone or whatever it is.
That's fair. Yeah, I definitely don't think that the stipulation of it must be perfect that's just very subjective.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this guy has Shin Godzilla.
Gosh, dang it, Chelsea.
Whoa, did she come in?
Yeah, she's in here, but she also. There we go. There's my little. I had like a little entrance to my house. It's like a bat cave. And for a second, I thought she like destroyed part of it, so I couldn't.
Is she in? Like, is she laying down?
Yeah, she's in bed. I'm waiting.
Okay.
Y'all were waiting on me.
This
to
one
make it in.
has Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders is pretty good
It is,
until
but
Big Bang Theory blew that
I
giant. hole in
know.
it.
I just saw that clip recently because I never actually watched the full Big Bang Theory series, but now I'm like, I really should watch it because I'm entertained by almost every clip I see of it. And and when I saw that, I was like,
ruin Raiders?
Oh, no, Raiders of the Lost Ark can still exist and not have Indiana Jones at all.
Yep.
And I was like, oh. But still, any of the Indiana Jones, other than obviously the Crystal Skull, any of the other ones are absolutely fantastic.
The Indy series is fantastic.
Oh, I loved Indiana Jones. Was one of my like childhood heroes. Like, not. Oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. Not the actor.
Harrison Ford.
How could I ever possibly forget the word Harrison Ford? Oh my gosh. Harrison Ford, not necessarily, but Indiana Jones was like an idol to me. Like, I was like, I want to be Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, who didn't want to be Indiana Jones?
Right. He had a cool job. He was way smart. He got the girls, like.
And he got out of every situation he got put in.
But it was almost like he kind
he
of
was also afraid of
himself
snakes.
out of it as well.
So he also had.
Fun fact about Indiana.
Yeah.
Did you notice the Boy Scout uniform that Indiana Jones is wearing?
No. I mean, I noticed he's wearing one.
That he is wearing one in the
Oh,
Last
when he's a
Crusade.
kid.
Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
this is canon, is a life scout. Indiana Jones did not earn his eagle.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
That was actually
I
a
mean-
point of contention on set.
Really?
Steven Spielberg, the director, wanted to make him an Eagle Scout.
Oh, that's so funny.
Steven Spielberg is an Eagle Scout. That's part of the reason. That's part of the cause behind that. It,
Makes sense as a director.
Harrison Ford was a Life Scout, never earned his Eagle.
Oh, so he didn't want to.
His response was, "You might be the director and you're an Eagle, but I am Indiana Jones and I never earned my Eagle."
Ah, there he goes. Plus, come on, Harrison Ford. How could you ever tell him no?
If anybody could, it would be Spielberg.
True. Another one of my childhood heroes and someone that I aspired to be was Steven Spielberg because I enjoyed his films. George Lucas is all right too, but for some reason I just gravitated so much more towards Spielberg's work.
Well, Spielberg is, I would say, objectively better.
Yeah. They've done some things well together too, so like there's some crossover.
I mean,
there.
Star Wars was a joint project. Yeah. So was Indiana Jones was a Lucas and Spielberg thing. Here's the thing: is that I think that Lucas works best as a producer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He has the crazy, awesome ideas and pushes the envelope.
I can see that, and that's always good to have.
The whole him like getting kicked out of the DGAs for Star Wars because he refused to abide by the method that was prescribed by everybody, like that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can look at the dialogue of the prequels and clearly point out that, you know, writing isn't his best. Writing is not his strong suit.
Yeah.
And I think to an extent you could even say that directing isn't his strong suit because of that as well. And the only reason I say that is because of his heavy use of technology, of his decision that
is true.
Just because you like, you know the whole phrase, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely feel like the use of CGI in the prequels
was a bit much.
It shows that it was just because you can, George, doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, especially because, you know, the original trilogy of Star Wars was so well done with
practical effects.
Yeah.
And that was
minimal,
kind of the thing.
Minimal to no CGI.
Well, that's because there was no CGI. I mean,
yeah, but like the fact that everything was practical effects, the puppetry, everything, you add all that together and you make such a well-made movie, and they're like, oh, I can turn Yoda into CGI, or I can, you know, there's certain calls you have to be like, is that a good idea? Yeah. Should I do that?
But at the same time, it's like, it's in the same vein, right? Like none of those things had been done before.
Yeah.
When it comes to practical effects, and they decided, hey, this is what we're going to do. And it's in the same category with the CGI stuff of George going, this has never been done before. We're going to push the envelope, which is great. But I think it's one of those things where that is a personal flaw of George Lucas that can be great when properly utilized. That's why I think like he makes a great producer, is that if he's working on a Spielberg project, Spielberg's like, this is my vision, then Lucas can come and be like, well, let's go do this, and we'll do X and Y, and it'll look really cool, and we can make something that looks amazing.
I can agree with that, for sure. And I think the two of them together make a almost perfect team, like in terms of what they're able to create.
Crystal Skull excluded.
I don't know what they
and I mean, no director is perfect, right?
Right. No, absolutely not. But every film series kind of has that movie that everyone goes, why did they?
Are you doing carrots out here?
I am, but I wasn't only doing it for the farm, for the tractor. But you can take them away if you want.
Well, I would say if you wanted more, I can get you more. We have spare.
Oh no, I'll just replant what's there.
Okay.
I realize there's like a dent on the side of my house, so I'm gonna fill that. Yeah. So obviously, definitely Indiana Jones. Jurassic Park is on there.
Another Spielberg.
Yeah, Jurassic Park is one of those movies that even the newer ones, like, they're all basically the same thing, but there's enough differences to where you don't feel.
I have a lot of criticisms about the new ones.
Yeah, why is that? What about?
I watch this YouTube series called CGI Artists React,
Oh yeah, yeah. You
and
showed
they've
me that.
talked to. Okay, so they're way good. I really enjoy their work. I followed that company for years. Um, Love their stuff. And this new series that they're doing is very new. They've been doing CGI work, but like professionally and on their own, like their own scale for like 20 plus years. They started when they were in high school
Mm-hmm.
using assets on like a Windows old school Windows XP. Like it's yeah, they've shown some of their like original first stuff, and it's really bad, but considering that it was made by like a pair of 15-year-olds, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of their main criticisms for the new Jurassic Park movies is that, similar to like a lot of what we've been talking about with like the prequels, is that they overused digital assets.
Mm.
And that's something that makes the original so special, was the
Mm-hmm.
blend of digital and physical assets.
Yeah, and really at that time, the digital ones weren't great.
It was very limited.
Right.
In fact, but they said that here's one of the most difficult things is that with the new ones, you're working with kids. And it's
Mm.
really hard for you to be able to, and this is hard for any actor, but especially for children, for a director to go, okay, pretend like a
Yeah.
dinosaur's chasing you,
That
and it's
that
just a
guy with
silver
the
ball.
yeah, that guy wearing the gray suit with the balls all over it. He's a dinosaur.
Right? And that's not to say that children aren't like they can't comprehend that. They can comprehend that. But it's harder for a child actor to tap into like the visceral emotions
Mm,
of it.
yeah. Whereas
And
like Chris Pratt
so,
had no problem doing it.
right, I mean, he had an easier time doing it, but it also helps that he's worked on other
CGI,
CGI
especially
heavy products.
heavy CGI with the Marvel
Right? Guardians of the
universe.
Galaxy, when almost the whole film is on a blue screen.
Yep.
And so he said that was something they explained, like that is something that would be way good, is that that was something that made the original special, was you have these really cool physical assets with like the Velociraptor, and
Yeah.
that made it so much more
The
real.
the puppets and the Triceratops was also a puppet. Like
Right.
and the even the T Rex was partially puppet. You know what I mean? Like there's so
Right.
many
The
things that
last fight scene between the raptor and the T-Rex, that's CGI.
yeah. Which honestly, a lot of the CGI in the first Jurassic Park you could really tell, and then there were other times to where
You couldn't.
you couldn't. Yeah,
You know,
they just
another
nailed it.
film that I really enjoy that I feel holds up is The Mummy with Brendan
Oh,
Fraser.
oh my gosh, I remember when those
That
came out,
movie,
and they were mind blowing. What they were able to do.
1999,
Like it was
and
like, whoa,
it's
movies can do this.
go watch it again. And like there's some parts where it's a little rough,
Oh, I'm sure.
but they do not break the enchantment of the film.
Yeah, or like when you reinsert, just because you can doesn't mean you should reinsert terrible CGI in the most recent releases of Star Wars, like of the original trilogy. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're bad. They're really bad.
Oh, no.
You've
But
not
like
seen them?
what, like the OG special edition ones?
Yeah, that they've added in additional CGI from the original movies.
No.
Oh, you've got to look them up. I'm sure that YouTube channel you're talking about has covered it. Like for one of the examples is there's a scene where Jabba the Hutt is meeting Han Solo right when he's about to kill
Oh,
the
that's
Millennium
the
Falcon.
special edition.
Yeah,
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 that's the OG special edition.
yeah. Have you
And
seen
you have that problem of Harrison Ford having to try and walk over Jabba's tail.
right because they did the CGI.
And right, well, because originally Jabba's character was supposed to be a human.
Right.
And so they decided they wanted to add in some of these like deleted scenes
Mm-hmm.
in the special edition, and they were forced with this problem of how do you make Harrison Ford walk over a tail
when there's no
that doesn't exist.
Yeah, or when it wasn't ever filmed that way. Yeah. There's just a few things in there that it's like so obvious that it's an added feature.
Yeah, but at the same time,
some of them are really good.
That was done in like 2003, 2002.
That's fair.
Like to go back, and I think that's one of my main points is like
time is something else. Like time when it was done is something else.
And that's a big thing, right? Like when the prequels came out, the prequels looked good.
Oh yeah, but now they don't.
Now they don't, and that hurts it. That's what makes such like effects stand out, is when they can withstand the test of time.
Yeah.
And that's why the OG Jurassic Park looks amazing. That's why I love The Mummy, is that though they played to their strengths.
Yeah.
And it looks great. Like it's not like Back to the Future where the flames should literally be touching Doc's legs and he should be on fire.
Right. But even in Back to the Future, they used real fire. Like they were using special effects with gas lines, and in the main scene where they're traveling on that street by the town center, like that's not CGI or special effects. That's an actual gas line with flames coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, have you ever seen Hidalgo? It just came to my mind. Have you ever seen that movie?
It sounds familiar.
He's, I don't remember a lot about it, but he's like this, he's kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of character. But he like gets a lot.
Is this the horse race?
Yeah, it's the horse race, I think. Yeah, it is a horse race. That's what it is. That movie is so good. It's the guy who
plays Aragorn.
Yeah. That movie's fantastic. I remember watching it as a kid and being like, that's a good movie. There's some pretty horrific parts of it, but for the most part, it's pretty good. I don't know why that movie came to mind, but it just came to mind of one of those movies that like I remember watching as a kid and being like, wow, I really enjoyed that. Or a teenager, I guess. Like, I don't know why it just stood out for a second there. Anyway, obviously another one on a lot of people's lists is Ferris Bueller's Day Off as a perfect movie, which, I mean, I guess, but
it's really good.
It is a really good movie. And it's one of those movies that you just kind of let happen. Now, I think a more interesting topic would be movies that aren't perfect and movies that maybe should never have been made. Have you ever seen, I think it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way?
No, I have not.
I love that movie.
Oh, hi. She's just
hey, Charles.
Eavesdropping. When he plays
sorry.
When his kid wants a specific superhero toy, and it's all out of. It's like a they'll shoot your eye out kind of movie. It
seems like it's like a knockoff of Tim Allen's Santa Claus.
It's not even that, really, though. I mean, he in a way, like, but he becomes the superhero, like on a float or something for the Christmas parade, and like his kid gets to meet him, or it's just one of those silly things.
Arnold Schwarzenegger uses a real jetpack. It's awesome.
It's still a silly movie. But then again, anything that's got Arnold Schwarzenegger is, I mean, except the Terminator, obviously. But even the Terminator, you could probably find plenty of things that are questionable in terms of how well it is or is not.
Hey, I mean, you can't go bad-mouthing, oh shoot, what's his name? James Cameron.
Is he...
Cameron directed Terminator.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
In fact, there's some scenes.
The movie itself is really.
Yeah, there were some scenes where like they didn't get the cut that he wanted, and they didn't have the filming permit to go back and do it. So he loaded all the equipment in his trunk, and they went and got some shots really fast before the police could come.
Knowing I've got a friend who works in the movie industry, and he actually works in like the permit department, like applies for the permits in Georgia to get the filming locations and things.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows all about that, and it's pretty serious. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're doing like a no-name short film and you're like not obstructing public or anything, but if you got to close down a street or like a whole city to do something, like, you better have a permit.
Well, that was the thing, is like they did it in such a way to where they didn't have to have a permit. Like, they just like they were in his car and they went and did it real fast.
Yeah, that's so freaking awesome. Another movie that's on a lot of people's list is Inception, which I thought when it came out, I thought it was a really good movie, but a lot of people don't like it. I don't know why that is. But I also like dream stuff, so that could be part of the
I thought Inception was really good. I think that Chris Nolan really works well. He has specific motifs that he likes to work with. Here, really fast, Chelsea, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to give you a map.
Oh, good. You made a map.
I made maps
Thank you.
for everybody.
I'd love one.
You're down there. Can you get up here, please?
Yeah, in a minute. What the heck? I don't understand. Ruin my block.
Oh, shoot. That's Oakwood. Dang it.
Here, I'm just going to drop your map over here, okay? Chelsea? You got it?
Yes.
Sweet. Don't die with it, please.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, my friend, but okay.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I'm going to make a spare for us to keep.
Do you actually have a cartographer or something now? Or
Yeah,
you
I have
just
a
making
cartographer
maps?
staple. I'm making copies of it.
Oh, nice. That's so much better than the old way to replicate maps.
The level 2 map, it can go up 2 more levels, but this seems like a really good amount for like local use.
Hmm.
I'm here. I'm just
Oh,
up. I'm up
I see
high.
you on the map. They're locator maps.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I used some of the redstone that we had to make one locator map, and then once you start copying a map, it takes on all the attributes. So
Neat.
I've just been doing cartography stuff. I don't see. Oh, there you are. All right.
I should probably just build scaffolding. I know that's a new feature, so I don't really know how to use it. Got it.
I have no idea.
But yeah, so scaffolding is pretty recent to Minecraft, but it's pretty easy to make, and you can pass through it. It's supposed to make building easier, because you can like get on the bottom and then go up to the top and slide up and down it, kind of like an elevator.
Yeah.
But I've never built it, and I'm so used to not building with it.
Right. Like, where's my? Just give me a stack of 64 dirt. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, so what is your favorite movie? Or it doesn't have to be a perfect
Favorite-
movie. You can just
Doesn't have to be perfect. That's good. Because like, Yeah.
You can, I mean, there's nothing wrong. And also, like, it's funny that everyone is like, oh, these are perfect movies, and they want to, it's almost a debate thing, but, like, really, with the way the movie industry is and how movies are, sometimes it really doesn't matter if it's perfect. It just has to be good. So
It's literally just entertainment.
yeah, that's all it is, and you can feel free to judge it as you will, but that's why there's movie critics. But some people just don't care. They just like something because it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what would yours be? Your favorite?
Man.
It's so hard. Like, that's such a hard question to answer.
Right? Because especially, I think a lot of people feel this way, is that I kind of go through phases.
That is true. Like, if you were to ask me 10 years ago or 15 years ago what was one of my favorite movies that just really tugged at me, it would have been Bridge to Terabithia.
Yeah. Hmm. So, here's the other interesting question: are we considering book adaptations accessible, or do they have to be original films?
They can be book adaptations. The thing is, there's just not a lot of movies that aren't based off of books. I mean, there are a good amount that do exist, but
I would argue that that's the beauty of Christopher Nolan.
true, dude. Do you see that creeper just chilling with those sheep and horses, and they're all stuck? It's a nightmare down there.
The horse keeps blocking my shot.
There you go. There's a shot. Get him. He's coming for you anyway. There you go. Oh, almost. There he goes. Dead.
There's a skeleton.
Inside
underneath the
there
tree.
too? Oh, under the tree.
No, on the back. I'll negotiate him real fast. This is why I don't like trees near housing.
Focus on me.
It is daylight, sir. You should be dead.
Die. Unless they have helmets on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if they have helmets, they cannot die. Also, there is a zombie called the Husk that spawns in the desert that does not die in the sunlight. Yeah, none of those guys can get out.
I did not know that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, just so you know.
Close it, please.
It's closed. Stupid
Thank you.
sheep. Anyway, go ahead.
That's why I really like Nolan for his creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Because he works with his brother a lot. His brother is a co-writer on a lot of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so and people yeah, you can say the superhero stuff is fine. That's not the Nolan that I'm really talking about. I love The Prestige.
Okay, I've never seen The Prestige.
Okay, you should definitely watch The Prestige. It is Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman.
Oh, really? Ooh.
And the idea is that they are competing magicians.
Oh.
Yeah, and basically Hugh Jackman was the best one, and Christian Bale's magician was the up and coming star, and then one of Christian Bale's magic tricks, killed Hugh Jackman's wife. She was a magician's assistant, and she died from a magic trick gone wrong.
Oof, that's rough.
And so there's a good portion that's it's a revenge story. It's Hugh Jackman wanting revenge on the character, but then there's also a part of it where it's um his like Christian Bale's character has like a better magic trick, and then
Yeah.
there's like a whole lot of professional competition of who's the better magician.
That's cool.
And it's like what makes the best tricks. And it's very fun to watch because it plays out like a magic trick in that there's three main steps, and they subvert expectations by making you look one way as a filmmaker when really you should be looking at the other hand type thing.
Kind of like how Inception makes you question what's real and what's not by the time you get to the end.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so like
Is it anything
really-
like The Illusionist? Have you seen that?
I have seen, and I was going to bring up The Illusionist, that I would also say The Illusionist is one of my favorite films that I would put
I haven't seen it
in that like
For
perfect
a
category.
while. Like I saw it when it came out.
I like
But
Edward
it's a
Norton.
good one. It's a
I
good
know
one.
that Edward Norton is kind of a pain to work with, from what I've
Yeah,
heard from.
Wasn't he like in
creators.
the first Incredible Hulk? That's like technically part of the
Yeah.
MCU. He was. The
He
Hulk, right?
was the Hulk, and he was heavily criticized for it, because a lot of people blame him for it being so bad, is because he's such a perfectionist that he like was at the editing table, and it was in his contract that he would have like some say in film editing.
Oh, that's a nightmare sounding. Oh my gosh. If I was the film editor for that, I would just die. Nothing's worse than having to edit something like a film, especially to that degree, and having a monkey on your shoulder telling you what's not right.
Right. So,
Makes sense.
but it was also like if Edward Norton was going to have his name be on that project, he wanted it done. He was worried that it would be
A flop.
gimmicky.
I don't know. Let's be real. That first his Incredible Hulk really wasn't all that great.
Right, but I mean, to be fair as well, nobody knew how to make superheroes at that time.
True, and any other Incredible Hulk movie that's ever existed before that was also never good.
Not good. So, like, for what it was and at the time, I would say it was pretty good. I mean, at the time, like, what was it 2008, 2009 that it came out?
Yeah, something like that. It was right before the first Iron Man, which like
Okay, so that would have been
defined the
2007.
MCU. Let me look and see when it came up. The Incredible Hulk came out in 2008. So maybe it was after Iron Man 1.
Well, Iron Man 1 came out in 2008 as well.
Okay, so they came out like right after each other. Let's see.
Yeah,
Release date of Iron Man was May 2008. And The Incredible Hulk was June 2008. Oh, could you imagine releasing something like Iron Man in May and then following it up with the angry Incredible Hulk?
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like Star Wars did that.
That is a good point. You mean between episodes 1 and 2 or 4 and 5?
Rogue One to Last Jedi.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's not even go there. Now, I will say, a lot of people didn't like The Last Jedi, and I understand why. But in terms of like watching a
I'm in
film
that
for
camp.
entertainment, like, it was fine. But I do agree that when I saw it, I was like, is this a Star Wars movie? Is this really a Star Wars movie? Because it doesn't
Honestly,
feel like a Star Wars movie.
that's because we won't. Okay,
They shouldn't have
we
changed
won't get into
directors.
it.
They really should. They should not ever take someone off a project. I get that he was really busy or whatever, but like when you have a vision and you set it a bunch of stuff up in the first movie and then you just kind of throw it all away in the second one, doesn't make any sense. You can't do that with the trilogy. It just doesn't work. And then
Well, I mean-
then you try to make the third one to fix the second one, and then just the whole thing is a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I agree with you. We won't get into Star Wars because
I've
that's
never seen Rogue One, and I need to.
okay. That needs to change.
Yes.
Because here's
I
the
need to
thing:
see
is that
Rogue One.
everyone was complaining about Last Jedi, and I think that Last Jedi. I will agree. I will even say that I think Last Jedi, to an extent, got a bad rap. Like, I don't like Last Jedi.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a good movie. And for me, a lot of it comes down to I feel like it felt like the Disney executives were trying to politicize what should be like a children's story.
Yeah, or just a fun film.
And I don't like that. And I have some concerns and I have some frustrations with Marvel films as well for the same reason. I feel like sometimes there's some underlying messages there that are pushing a political agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
For no reason, like for no good reason other than to have one.
other than we can.
Yeah. Which is stupid. You should never do that.
Yeah, I really disagree with that. Now, here's the interesting thing is that ooh, that's a giant pit. Personally, no, sorry. I got lost for a second. I have
It's all
like
good.
ice.
Yep.
So I was like trying to think of what I was gonna say. Rogue One was amazing, and I have not heard anybody who didn't like Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
I would put Rogue One in the same category at like Rogue One did for Star Wars what Iron Man did for Marvel.
Mm.
And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people like there was such a reaction to Last Jedi was because Force Awakens episode 7 was kind of lukewarm, like okay, yeah, cool, like I get what they're going. I'm excited to see what they do with the next one. And then they made something so amazing with Rogue One. And it was like, oh my goodness, Star Wars is back, and I am so happy. This is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it'd be like, it feels like it'd be the same as, Iron Man comes out and
The Incredible Hulk follows, and everyone
right,
loses
the
hope.
Incredible Hulk is the next one out, but Disney's been touting it like, well, you really like the last one. If you like the last one, you'll love this one, making it sound like they're going to be like they're building off of each other, and they're completely different messages. They're completely different styles. There's such a stark difference.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people feel that Star Wars is broken and it's the fan base's fault. And I will agree that to an extent, the fandom is always a problem.
Oh yeah. And there's
Like,
people that
you're
just know
always-
too much about it. Oh, they didn't do this because that doesn't work like this. Doesn't work like because this is that. Like, and there's that
Right,
stuff,
and
but like I don't know
every
that stuff.
fandom is going to have that. But here's the thing: is that you can't necessarily blame that because because they say, oh well, Star Wars fans are just diehard.
Yeah.
Well, so are Harry Potter fans, and yet people still liked the movies and the books.
Even though they cut out a lot of stuff.
Right. Like, so And then on the flip side, you have other studios where when they create something and their fan base hates it, they're like, okay, we got to fix this. Like Sonic.
Like Sonic, which I've not seen the movie. But just
haven't
to have
either.
a studio who said, all right, we screwed up. At least
Like-
it's just CGI. We can fix it.
Right. I mean, just CGI. It's only,
Hours
particle
and
mapping
hours.
and hand tracking all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we release in 6 months.
Yeah. That's a good point. But the people who worked on Sonic were clearly also Sonic fans. And they
And the
wanted
studio
it to be
obviously right, and the studio obviously cared about how the fans felt.
good. Right. And honestly, if Jim Carrey was in another flop movie, he'd be done. He's out of strikes for flop movies.
Right, he'd be honestly, he'd go with the same he'd go in the category with like Mike Myers and
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
What happened to Mike Myers? Has he been in
I can tell you
anything?
exactly what happened to Mike Myers.
Shrek? Shrek?
No,
No, Shrek's a good one.
Love Guru.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen
Love
that, but
Guru
I remember.
ruined his career.
That's too bad. I always really kind of wondered what happened to him. He just kind of disappeared.
Love Guru. That was the film that kind of like
Oh, hey,
killed it.
we got Raiders checking us out. Just so you know. They're over by the horses.
Okay. Give me 1 sec. Let me.
That was close. I almost dropped myself down to death. Which
I'll
is
go
too
get
bad
him.
because Mike Myers did some pretty good stuff. I mean, in terms
Well,
of
and here's the interesting thing: of
define
like,
good
with-
if it's a comic movie. You know what I mean? A comedian.
Oh, you mean Austin Powers?
I mean, Austin Powers is good to a degree of if you've got that Austin Powers kind of sense of humor to enjoy those types of movies. You know what I mean?
Because Love Guru is in that exact same category. He has the same people that he always like acts with. They're making the same type of like dirty humor jokes. Where are the Raiders?
They went towards the tree line that way. Yep. To the left maybe a little bit. They're literally just there. There's no way they'd despawn. That'd be crazy. They were literally just there. They're not there anymore? That's weird. But at some point, that type of movie, I mean, when Austin Powers came out, that type of movie, like, people just enjoyed them, I guess, more. I think at some point that genre just kind of fell apart and died.
And that was Love Guru. Love Guru was the last one, and it killed it.
Yeah. Everyone went, people aren't into this as much as they were in the 90s and the 80s. But
Well,
maybe
I
that's
mean,
because there's better
Austin
movies now.
Powers is early 2000s.
Is Austin Powers early 2000s?
Yeah.
Even like the first one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
I
he
guess I
made
could
those
see
after
that.
he was on Saturday Night Live. And he was on Saturday Night Live in the 80s.
Oh. That's interesting. It just seems like a 90s kind of thing. But yeah, and same,
For
like you
Eddie
said,
Murphy,
Eddie Murphy. I can't remember what
Haunted
killed him,
Mansion and Norbit.
Really? Norbit killed Eddie Murphy?
Yeah,
You know why? Too much Eddie Murphy.
because he's not Tyler Perry.
No, because there's just too much Eddie Murphy in one film.
Well, and then part of it was also is that there was a big debate over, that's kind of like early stages of, cultural appropriation, racist jokes aren't funny anymore. And so to have Eddie Murphy playing an angry, stereotypical Asian man.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that died in early 2000s, all that type of humor.
So
That's a valid point.
and
Yeah,
then
and that's
Haunted
all he
Mansion
did.
was
And Haunted
really
Mansion
bad
was-
from what I heard.
I've seen it. It's a good kids movie, but even that, it's more like a good preteen movie when you like enjoy movies like Twilight. But yeah, it's just not. It's nothing to hoot about. You know what I mean? It's again one of those things where like, well, I guess I can't say that because Pirates of the Caribbean is very well done. But it's one of those Disney went, ooh, that's a ride. Oh, we know what it is. It's Pirates of the Caribbean is a ride that we made a movie out of, and it did very well. Let's do that with Haunted Mansion. Everyone loves Haunted Mansion. Why would they not like a movie about it? And then they went and got Eddie Murphy to play in it. And then no one liked it.
Sounds like you don't like Eddie Murphy.
I used to really like Eddie Murphy movies. But, like Dr. Dolittle and stuff.
Speaking of Dr. Dolittle, that most recent one was a huge flop.
Well, now was that just a timing thing? Because it was all around Corona, or was it just
No, that came out
because
before.
you should never ever make another Doctor Dolittle movie, and Disney thought they could? I think that's
Well,
really what it is.
they made a Doctor Dolittle movie that was trying to be more, holding to the original story.
Yeah, and no one understood the original story because Eddie Murphy changed it.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, it just seemed like a lot of people were just exhausted from a Disney narrative, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think too, like, everyone really likes Robert Downey Jr. and everyone really likes Iron Man.
Well, and Disney knew that.
And
That's
they
why
said,
all
let's-
the material
yeah.
only had him on it.
Right. So they said, let's put him in Doolittle. Everyone loves him. They'll come watch it. And I don't even know if he enjoyed making it, to be honest. You know, like, he's like, well, I'm not an Iron Man anymore. Like, I gotta make a movie. It's Disney. They're gonna pay me up front.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. What would you do if you were him? Like, if you know you're out of the MCU, you might be coming back to the MCU because it's the only thing you make money off of now. Like, there's
That's not true.
rumors circulating that he may come back to the MCU somehow. Did the Scarlet Witch, it's not Scarlet Witch, did Black Widow movie ever come out?
I don't know.
I don't think it has.
I was intrigued by that.
Because he's supposed to be in that, I think, somehow. No, maybe he's not pulled into that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I don't know. Maybe they paused it because of they want to make sure they can actually release it in the theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
I
a
don't
big
know.
reason why Onward didn't do so well. Because no one was going to the movie theaters.
Well, Onward, I think, is also a timing thing. Onward was the type of film that Disney really needed to release during the summer.
Yeah. I know.
Because
I
that
hear,
needed
I hear
to
there's a lot
be-
of sub agendas in that film, or at least one or two main
Well, that
ones.
doesn't surprise me at all. Disney's been doing that a lot. I mean, they've been doing that for forever.
But now they're
Hashtag
getting
anti-Semitism.
now they're getting more aggressive about it. People are starting to notice.
I mean, in all seriousness, and we said we weren't going to talk about Star Wars, but like that's a big reason I didn't like Last Jedi was I felt like it was so political.
That's fair. And I just feel bad because
But that's also like why I loved The Mandalorian is because
oh my gosh.
it's not trying to like do a mono like there's no like this is like we're going to use a sci-fi world to
Persuade
prove
you
a
to
point about
yeah.
real life events. It's like no, like there's like some really cool writing in The
Oh,
Mandalorian. Like you don't
absolutely.
need real life.
which isn't a movie, but it should be.
Right, yeah.
And like
mean,
a
we're just
lot
talking
of
about Disney
people
and Star Wars.
because of The Last Jedi and because of not Rogue One, The Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker came out. Not a lot of people cared for it just because The Last Jedi kind of destroyed its chance of even remote survival.
I would agree with that, yeah.
But at that exact same time, when everyone was like, "Oh, we need Star Wars, The Mandalorian comes out. And basically
was the other
makes
thing.
everyone say, okay, maybe, like you said with Rogue One, maybe there is hope still for Star Wars.
Right, and it's like this thing where it's like it's this fandom that won't die because every time you think we're done, they do something right. They do something that people absolutely love, and I think that those two, Rogue One and The Mandalorian are both things that it just kind of shows like. Do I think there are problems in the Star Wars fandom? Yeah, I would say I agree. I do think there are some problems.
Yeah.
But do I think that I think it's incredibly unfair for the studio to take no responsibility and
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, the fans don't appreciate what we gave them. It's their fault."
Yeah. No, as a studio, you need to step back and say maybe we made something that's kind of garbage.
Right? Like,
Because
why aren't
we were
people
pressured to
liking
do it, and
our
we just had to get it
product?
out, and we did it. Yeah, yeah. But like, and a lot of people don't like Solo, and don't want to talk about Solo.
I like Solo.
I like Solo, but I like heist movies, like The Italian Job. You know what I mean? Like,
And here's the thing: is like people said that Solo didn't do well. Well, Solo didn't do well because they released it 5 months after Last Jedi.
yeah, it was bad
Everyone
timing.
didn't
Everyone was
it was just bad timing.
everyone was
So
just done with Star Wars because of it.
they were burned out. I
Yeah.
didn't go see. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, and I didn't go see Solo in theaters
Yeah,
because I felt, to an extent, I kind of felt betrayed by. Well, that's a giant hole in some places there shouldn't be a hole. Okay. I felt betrayed by LucasArts because of Last Jedi. I went to Last Jedi wanting to like it. I wanted to like Star Wars, and I just couldn't bring myself. Like, I was so mad about that film.
yeah. And there were plenty of things that then later come out in Rise of Skywalker that just I hated. There were things I was like, why? Why did you do that? Why would you make that choice? Why would you? You know what I mean? There's so many.
And I can kind of get that, but I will say that I actually liked Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Do
I
I think
enjoyed
it's a
it.
great
There were things
movie?
that I just didn't like about it.
And sure,
Small
sure,
things. They were little things.
yeah.
I think that given what they had to come off from,
Right, with what JJ had to
valiant
work with,
effort
I'm
to save
impressed.
I'll say that. Like, valiant effort to revive what was a dead horse.
Yeah. I'm very impressed with JJ and what he was able to pull
Yeah.
out.
But he's just really good at what he does. Like,
I like JJ.
but yeah, Solo I thought was wonderful. I mean, I liked a lot of the actors.
and
Some of them were no-name
that's-
people that I've never heard of before.
And like,
that's
and you know,
fine.
if you got somebody who has to try and come behind Harrison Ford, I thought the guy did a great job.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people, maybe that's part of why. It's like, oh well, he's not Harrison Ford. Well,
And you're right.
yeah, you're right. He's not. But
I mean, but that's the same thing. People had the same problem with
Shia LaBeouf, Indiana
oh,
Jones.
no.
Oh.
No. I'm talking about oh shoot. Men in Black 3,
Oh man.
where they go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, and it was Josh Brolin. It's like, well, Josh Brolin isn't Tommy Lee Jones. And like, you're right, but he does an amazing job playing a young Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, you can bear like they almost look the same. Like,
and the way that he was able to like mimic his speech patterns and his dialogue,
yeah.
and like the preferred speak, and you know, some of that's going to be like really good script writing.
Have you seen the new Men in Black?
International?
Yeah,
No.
I've not seen it either. I was just
Yeah, nope. I did not feel a need to because it, you know, I was like, it almost feels like them trying to do an apology piece for how narrow the casting was in the original, even though the second main character is Will Smith.
Yeah.
It's like, we weren't inclusive enough. It's like, that's a pretty inclusive movie, especially for the time it came out.
But like, come on, their new main is freaking Hemsworth. Like, come on. I mean,
Well, and
they
you
got a
saw who
female
the
actor
bad guy.
too, but
And you have Liam Neeson playing the bad guy.
yeah, ooh, the same people that always play bad guys. Actually, that's true. He's not always a bad guy. He's usually not the bad guy, actually. Yeah, but that's with a lot of these reboots. They've kind of been attempts. In a way, it feels like they want to fix something that's not broken.
And I think part of that as well is like, it's so fascinating to me that you
Ghostbusters.
have this need. Well, okay, talking about like controversial fandoms. Yeah, man.
But why remake a Ghostbusters movie? Why feel the need to do that? And the only reason why, is because, the original Ghostbusters cast was all males. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point to do that. It's silly.
And I have a very unpopular opinion with that, and that is that I don't like remakes as a whole.
Yeah,
I don't like remakes. I
like a remake if it's
onto a
willing to
fandom?
be its own
standalone thing. Okay, so like good example of that. I just said I don't like remakes, and I'm going to talk about a remake that I absolutely love. Have you ever seen Total Recall?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, so
I've
the
heard
original...
of Total Recall. I have heard of Total Recall, but I have not seen it.
Okay. I really like the remake of Total Recall. I find the storyline very compelling. I think that they added enough Easter eggs to the film to make fans of the original pay like homage to like what it was, and what it is to an extent.
That makes sense. Do you feel that way about something?
It felt very fresh and original, and it was a great standalone piece.
How do you feel about Jumanji reboots? I have not seen the second remake sequel.
But the first one with The Rock?
They both have The Rock. The one that just came out also. Right. But the remake with The Rock. The first one. I haven't seen the second one. I do too. And that's one of those things. It's like, but why do we like that and not other ones?
Like, what makes that one different from something like
Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, which really has nothing to do with... To me, that wasn't the problem with that Ghostbusters. I actually did enjoy the Ghostbusters because I did like a lot of the actresses that played the characters. But they get Chris Hemsworth to play the secretary, and he's kind of just an idiot the whole time. And I don't like...
He's just a sex object.
Right. And people say, people have been doing that to female characters forever, and making them seem dumb or that they're sex objects or whatever. But I don't know.
I think they're absolutely right with that as well. I think that has been a huge problem.
It has been.
And I do think that aspect was, I kind of thought that was funny that they did that, and they have who do we have as our male sex icon? Chris Hemsworth, but perfect.
Yeah,
obviously. Because he is
right?
that.
Yeah, it is true.
And I thought that was great.
I thought he did a great job. It was just kind of one of those whoa. I mean, maybe it's just because it was Chris Hemsworth. It's well, wait, that's Thor, and he's not a dummy. You know what I mean?
Hey, 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. Okay. Hey, can you check your map and see if it updated with mine?
Probably. Oh, that's a good question because they're linked kind of in a way, right? Let me see.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I can.
I can see you walking around by the ice area.
But it's not filled in?
The corner?
Oh, it is filled in.
It is filled in. The corner is not filled in.
Most of your map is filled in, right?
Yeah. There's the left.
Good. When I gave it to you, it was only around our house was filled in. So I'm happy that it will auto fill in for other people.
That is way cool.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, and again, sometimes reboots just don't do it. You know what I mean? They don't capture that essence that was the original. And I think Jumanji does capture that essence of the original.
Well, and I think part of that can also just be like they don't have to like it's okay to use something to try and create something original. And that's what I kind of liked about the Jumanji thing was that they didn't try and
Just remake the
you
movie
know,
because board games
yeah.
are irrelevant. But
I actually like the modernization of it of using
and
it as a video
that's
game.
the thing is they literally said, how do we take? I mean, the board game literally saw itself and said, I'm not relevant anymore. I have to become relevant. Like the board game plays an active role in becoming modernized.
Enticing.
Right. So like if the board game was just the board game and then it was like all of a sudden there's another console that's a Jumanji console, that doesn't make any sense. But to like have that kind of that transformation of
Well, and yeah, and I had kind of forgotten that there was that little bit of continuity
yeah.
of it's technically it's still in the same universe.
Yeah, which is way cool. And it's and that's the thing too is like sometimes reboots don't work because like the first one was just so iconic that it just doesn't make sense. And something like Jumanji with Robin Williams and especially now that he's not around anymore, like it's hard to be like, can we make this movie and like not screwed up?
Well, I mean, to that extent, have you seen the James Bond movies with
Craig, whatever his name is.
Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig, yeah.
Have you?
I've seen Skyfall and I've seen Battle or Casino Royale.
Okay.
I've not seen.
So you're missing Quantum of Solace because Quantum of Solace is the second one.
I've not seen that one because I
So
think
this
I
is
was
really
out of the
interesting
country
because
when
they
it
actually
came out.
all play off of each other, like they work with each other.
Yeah, I think I was just out of the country and when it came out.
Quantum of Solace isn't the best Bond film.
Skyfall,
I
thought
absolutely
was wonderful.
Skyfall is amazing.
It's
I
a
really like Sam.
good one.
Sam Mendes has done a really good job with these films. In fact, I really liked Casino Royale as well.
Yeah,
And
they were
that
both
was
very good. They felt like James Bond. My hardest thing is like another actor that I loved as a kid was Pierce Bronson, mainly because he was 007.
he was Bond.
Because
And
he
I
was
think,
Bond,
and that's kind
right?
of funny because like he's considered to be one of the worst Bonds.
Is he really? See, but
Yeah,
but when you grow up with that Bond, like
that's Bond.
That's
and
your
you're
James
a kid, so
Bond.
you don't know any better.
right, and so
Right. So
when
like
it was
I
Daniel
actually
Craig,
really
I was
liked
like,
Die Another Day
yeah,
as a kid, and now I go back and I'm like, this movie is so bad. Like it's so bad.
and I'm sure they are, but like when it was a new guy, I was like, who's this new guy? He can't be Bond, but I'm sure that's what everyone goes through with the James
Everyone
Bond series.
felt about that. Well, here's the thing: is that everyone, it's super funny because
Isn't he
everyone's like,
doing
"Oh,
another one
he's the last one is coming out.
soon?
It's Too Late to Die or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that. And
I
they're
want to
making
watch
another Indiana Jones 5 is also in the
Yeah,
works,
well,
which
they're also speaking of reboots, they're remaking Princess Bride.
oh, I heard about that.
Yeah,
And
I'm not sure how happy I am about that. Anyway,
yeah, that's
everybody has been saying Sony way back when Sony messages got out that had discussed having Idris Elba as Bond.
I don't know who that is.
Idris Elba, he have you seen the new Thor movies?
Yes.
Okay. He plays the gatekeeper.
Oh, the Black Gatekeeper?
Yep.
Okay. Because there were 2 gatekeepers, weren't there? At some point?
I don't know. I didn't really watch the Thor movies a whole lot.
Okay. You got to see the Ragnarok. It's pretty good.
I have seen Ragnarok, and I liked Ragnarok.
Because in that one, he gets replaced temporarily.
Oh yeah, with
Which is why I was asking.
Kurt, whatever. I like him. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But then, yeah, Ragnarok was such a good movie. Especially because the second Thor was kind of bleh.
Yeah, it definitely redeemed itself.
It's redeemed Thor for sure.
Anyway, so
they thought about making him Bond?
they had thought about making Idris Elba James Bond because he plays a tough guy cop in a show Diamond.
diamond.
He plays a tough guy cop in a BBC series, Luther.
Oh, okay.
Now, I haven't seen Luther. Well, I have. I've tried watching the first episode, and it's one of those things where I don't really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I can also recognize how other people would enjoy it.
Mm.
It's just not my thing.
That's fine.
And there was huge outcry over Idris Elba being cast as Bond.
Because he's black, or?
Well, yeah. Basically, it was one of those things where he doesn't match the James Bond facade.
Right, but the facade was set at a time when Hollywood was white people.
Well, but also, I mean, it was based off of the actual accounts of Ian Fleming. Now, that
That's
being
fair.
said, Ian Fleming was also a raging misogynist, and it shows if you read the original Casino Royale. But, like, at the same time, like, he's a World War II vet type thing. Not to excuse it, but just like as one of those, like...
Beat into his brain kind of a thing.
You gotta look at where the original material comes from type thing.
Yeah,
is what
that
I'm,
makes
I guess,
sense.
what I'm getting at. Not to excuse it, but to understand where it comes from. Because I think that it's way easy to criticize something as being out of touch, but then not accepting it at this time. You know, it's like,
Right.
well, if that's the case, then, you know, really nobody should be reading Huckleberry Finn, and yet
Right.
we're still supposed to read Huckleberry Finn.
Right. And writing at the time when James Bond was written, like, you never, ever could have written your main character as African American. It would be like...
Well, I mean, yeah,
Honor.
there's that, but anyway.
People would just... There would have been a lot of uprising, and it wouldn't have been what it is because of it. Just because of the culture of it.
Yeah,
I was looking for class.
that's not what I wanted to get to with this, but so with the Idris Elba conundrum, I find it very interesting because I think that there is some validity to the concern over both sides, but one of the main things that was said was everyone's being so racist, and there's never been this much controversy over a Bond casting, and you're only saying this because he's black. Well, you brought it up with Daniel Craig. There was a ton of controversy with Daniel Craig being cast as Bond.
Yeah, because he's
blonde.
Exactly. That's what I was going to just say. Because he was blonde. Everyone's like, blonde? James Bond can't have blonde hair.
And that was what a lot of people said, is that they were like, you can't have a blonde James Bond.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. And it falls into that same category. Like, it didn't really matter the skin color of any of the character choice.
It was, and I think we talked a little bit. Whoa!
You find a friend, or did you die?
No, lava everywhere. I'm mining around lava, and it's difficult.
It is.
So, anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, that was with Daniel Craig. That was the main thing that a lot of people had a problem with. It was he's kind of short, and he's blonde.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't fit up to that expectation of what James Bond should be.
Yeah.
He wasn't dark-haired and handsome.
Right? Because up until then, that's what everyone had come to expect.
Right. But I think that just comes with a lot of things when they try and reboot something or change something, is a lot of people don't want you to change those.
Right? There's that
things.
fear of change of, like, this is my childhood. Like...
I mean, when they talked about remaking it, or, you know, having another Star Wars come out, you know, people were like, wait, can you do this? Like, remember what happened with the prequels?
Yeah.
Like, do you dare go down that path again? But at the same time, people are just eager to eat up Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's like we said last week with, you know, a Harry Potter book. Like, if another Harry Potter movie was going to be made, even if it was not Daniel Radcliffe and it was some other kid and the story wasn't exactly perfect, or to everyone's preferred liking, there would still be an army of people going to go watch it because it's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I think with Daniel Craig, like, he's on his fifth one?
Fifth.
Yeah. Like, no one ever thought that would happen because they figured out now he ain't going to last because no one's going to like him. Well, it grew on him.
And he's my favorite Bond.
He's pretty good at it.
He is my favorite because he's the first Bond who has character growth.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you go
Bond lacks a lot of character growth.
Huh?
That's a good point. James Bond isn't much for having character.
You're right. You're not used to story arcs when it comes to Bond stories.
And there's some things that Daniel Craig's Bond has been through that the other Bonds just never had.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing is that they did a better job of keeping true to Casino Royale.
Yeah.
And so you want to say like, oh, his Bond has gone through things that hasn't been done before. I mean, are you right? Yeah, kinda.
But they couldn't do them before. It just wasn't politically correct to be in a film, I think.
Why? If it was politically correct for literature, it should have been fine in the film.
Yeah, but that's not how film works.
Okay.
I mean, you would think so, but
because Sean Connery's date rape was totally fine.
Oh my gosh, there are some films out there that I'm like, how does this even exist? But I don't know. There's just things that when people adapt things into movies, I'm thinking more like Pierce Bronson age and previous of James Bond. Like, you just couldn't put things in film in that time that you can today. You know what I mean? Like, people still did it in some films.
Are you talking about like some of the nitty-gritty fight scenes?
I mean, like, think about like the torture scene in Skyfall. I think it's
Casino
Skyfall.
Royale.
Is it Casino Royale? Where they strap him to that chair butt naked.
And he gets his nut hit.
And they just, that is like, you wouldn't have seen that with Pierce Brosnan's James Bond. They just wouldn't have put that in film.
But I think part of that goes to like what people want, right? Like there's now like there's a huge demand for hyper realistic violence. Like people don't want, if you go back and you watch like Platoon or The Rock and it's like, oh yeah, these are your special forces.
Mm-hmm.
It's what Disney, not Disney, they just own everything now. It's what the film companies wanted to portray as that, but then it's also what people expected to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what badasses look like.
Yeah. And like, it's kind of like with Taken, which I'm not in any way saying Taken's not a good film because I enjoy the Taken films, right? But it's just like, oh, well, the bad guy doesn't get hurt, or he doesn't get hurt badly, right? Like, in Taken, he like one-shots everybody. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, and the same goes with like John Wick.
Right. John Wick's very much like that. But it's okay because we've grown to assume that that's what the guy who's not supposed to be killed does. And that's kind of what the expectation was with James Bond until I feel like with Daniel Craig, he kind of, he gets hurt to the point multiple times to where you question if he's going to make it to the end of the film. He still does because he's James Bond and you can't kill off 007 that easily.
Yeah.
There were some times that I was like, is this James Bond going to die mid-film? Like, is he actually going to make it to the end of this?
Yeah. And I mean, and everyone's a little bit nervous about the new Bond.
Who's going to be the new Bond?
They don't know.
Oh, well,
but the trailers are making it look like they're trying to set up a very strong African-American female as the replacement.
Oh.
Which, cool. If we want to try that, we can try that.
Yeah. But there's
I guess
going to
here's the thing
be
is, like,
people that don't want that
don't want that because it's not. It disrupts.
because he's blonde, because because he's not. That's not James Bond. It just comes down to that.
That's right. And I think
And people get to the point where they say, "Oh, you're only doing that."
I'm back up so we can go sleep in our beds.
Oh, okay. Like it gets to the point where you're only doing that because you want to show that you're trying to be diverse,
Inclusive. And I mean, there's something to be said for that. Except that I would make the argument is that I'm getting kind of sick of reboots, and James Bond is one of those things where it's like I feel like that's my one out where I'm like I don't mind reboots because that is part of the James Bond persona as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like how many different Bonds have we seen? We've seen ridiculous amount. I think it's 7 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7.
And that's just kind of like part of the James Bond persona. Is every every so often we get a new Bond. I want to see. I just wish there more film companies would take risks, and that's something that has been lost. Is people no longer willing to take risks with cinema.
Yeah.
And because I want heroes of diversity. Like I want to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been 7 James Bond.
Okay.
But interesting enough, technically I would not say 7, I would say 6.
Which one are you not counting?
David Niven only played 1 James Bond.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, and George... Okay, there's 2 of them that only played 1 James Bond. George Lazenby?
Lazenby.
I mean, obviously, people just think Sean Connery. Sean Connery, and then Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig.
Roger Moore.
Yeah, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton. But I haven't watched all the Bond films either, so there's that to go off of. I've seen, the more recent stuff. Oh, Spectra. I have not seen Spectra. That's the one I haven't seen.
Spectre.
Or Spectre. Sorry. Yeah, No Time to Die. That's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez,
They just released a title song. Billie Eilish sung it.
5 years since the last one. That's significant.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest gap, other than between License to Kill and GoldenEye, which was like almost 10 years. It was 89 to 95. That's not quite 10 years. But man, GoldenEye.
GoldenEye was good.
Well, yeah, and they made a video game about it.
And it's one of the best video games for Nintendo 64.
Yeah, you can thank Rare for that, who made Sea of Thieves.
They made... Wow.
Yep, Rare, who made Sea of Thieves, is the same company that made GoldenEye. Yep.
No clue.
Yep, they've made a few films, or a few games that are kind of one of those time-defining film or games.
I didn't know that Rare as a company was like that old.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. They just recently got... I don't know if they've been purchased by Microsoft, but they are very closely connected now. But they are bringing Sea of Thieves to Steam. I don't know if you saw that.
Did you see that Google got the rights to Fortnite?
Oh, jeez. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But I don't really
Just
play
that it's in the
Fortnite.
Play Store.
Oh, so it can be on Android? Was it not able to be on Android before?
It was not.
Really? I didn't know that.
Because Epic was hoarding the rights to it. Excuse me.
Good old Salt Lake City Epic Games.
Are they based in Salt Lake?
Yep. Pretty sure.
Huh. No idea.
Oh no, Epic Games is in North Carolina. Which is the one that's here? It's headquartered in North Carolina, but I thought they had a local office here in Salt Lake. What was the game company? Epic Games. Yeah, there's an office in South Jordan. I just think that the concept of Fortnite was birthed in this location that's here in Utah. I think.
The Battle Royale?
That's a good question.
Like, what do you mean?
It might be the original concept of what Fortnite was going to be. The zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
thing.
The actual game.
Yeah, the actual game that's probably never going to actually be released fully.
It is released.
Yeah, but it's not. There were rumors that they were going to let it be included in like the free to play because they make so much money off of the Battle Royale part. But I don't think they ever actually released it in the free to play.
Mm-mm. Nope. You can still buy it at Walmart for $30.
I've never actually played that part because I never bought it.
I've watched playthroughs of it. I actually really liked it, and I really wanted Fortnite.
Yeah.
Until I saw the Battle Royale stuff, and then I was like, okay, I no longer want to be a part of this.
Yep. I mean, and it's, I've been playing that Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and they've got that pay to win, or not pay to win, but pay to look better thing, but I don't pay for it.
I'm so stupid. Wait, I have a crafting table. Yes.
Yay.
I'm not so as stupid.
Always come prepared. Anyway,
I
we've gone a
accidentally made a
little long
spare.
this time, but, you can talk about movies forever, just because, especially when it comes to your favorite, or even just what's the most well done, what's not well done. Like, film is just so full of, it's such an integral part, I think, of everyone's life that we could talk about it for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
But we can always do it again another time. Move away from maybe what we like, and then if we find some movies that are so awful no one should ever watch them.
Oh my goodness, I have a list for that.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you have a good list that I've never seen, and I should watch them before we talk about them. Or we could just watch a specific film that's just so bad and then talk about it and talk about why it's so bad. Because they
We could do that as
exist, and some of them are popular. And to say that they are awful, it could be controversial. But again, it's like with books and movies and entertainment in general, and video games. Like, some people say, "Oh, well, such and such game is terrible and awful. Like, how could you ever play it?" Where other people say, "How can you not play it? It's awesome and amazing." It's the same with movies and books. Like,
That's true.
there's always going to be someone who says, why do you like that movie? That movie's awful. And, everyone has the reason for why they like it. So,
That's true.
anyway, well, we'll end episode 4 here. I mean, I was on a little bit beforehand, so I think we're a little around an hour and a half or so into that. So,
Oh, jeez. Okay.
time flies when talking about movies.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Thanks, peeps. I didn't see anyone here today, but if you're watching this after, which some people do, thanks for tuning in. And now I count to 10 until I know my stream is caught up. I'm always so worried that if I cut it right as I say goodbye, it goes back 30 seconds, which it tends to do. Because your stream's always like 15 to 30 seconds slower than real time. It's just because it's impossible for it to be fully real time. I can't imagine there's a streaming service that's exactly full time, which is problematic because, when someone's streaming and you're watching them stream and you're like, oh dude, there's someone like on your left right now. If you're in Fortnite or whatever, I don't know. and then you look to your left, like there's nobody there, and you're like, no, that was 20 seconds ago. You know?
Yeah.
Guess you can't get help from chat, so that's not a bad thing. But anyway, that should do. That should do.